Welcome to Mindful Chatting. I want you to imagine trying to run your entire house on just one drawer. Not like a kitchen drawer, not like a junk drawer, but one drawer. Everything goes in it, like your bills, your keys, your tools, important paperwork, maybe batteries, phone chargers. Well, come on, think about it. Eventually, you can't find anything. Not because you're disorganized, but because the entire system wasn't designed for the job that it's supposed to do. And I think that's exactly what many people with ADHD are trying to do with their planning. We're trying to make one planner, one app, one notebook, one calendar do absolutely everything for us. And then we wonder why it falls apart. Today, I want to introduce a concept that completely changed how I think about planning. Your ADHD brain doesn't need one planning system. It needs about like three of them. So don't worry, we're going to unpack this together.
Welcome to Mindful Chatting, a podcast where therapy meets real life. I'm Kristen, a therapist, business owner, and a lifelong student of what it means to fully show up in our relationships, in our work, and in our healing. Here, we unpacked mental health concepts, explore mindfulness tools, and talk through the messy, beautiful, in-between moments that shape us. Whether you're a fellow clinician, a curious listener, or someone navigating your own growth, this space is for you. Let's chat.
Now, this is where I think people get the most stuck. They think that I need to be better at planning, but planning isn't just one skill. It's several different executive functioning skills working all together. And if you think about it, you have to remember things, prioritize things, estimate your time to do them, schedule your commitments, organize some projects you have going on, initiate tasks, and then, well, follow through on all those things. Those are all different executive functioning skills, which means that one tool rarely solves all of them. Let's simplify this though. Every day, your brain is trying to answer these three questions. Question number one is, where do I need to be? Question number two is, what do I need to do when I'm there? And question number three is, when am I actually doing it? Most planning systems only solve one of those questions. And that's where our brain will actually start to break down, along with our planning system.
If you want to understand your ADHD in a deeper way, I've created the ADHD Crash Course, and it walks you through ADHD step by step so that you can actually start understanding your brain and not shaming it. Everything's in small, doable lessons designed for your ADHD in mind. The link is in the show notes.
So this is where we're going to answer all of these questions, and we're going to do it with our layered system. If you want to know more in depth about our layered system, I have a podcast episode that talks all about what the layers are. But we're going to go in a little bit detail today about what each layer is. So the first layer is your scheduling system, which is the question of where do I need to be? This layer is really your calendar. Your calendar is where your appointments, your meetings, your soccer practices, your doctor's appointments, your classes, your therapy sessions, your deadlines. This layer's answers, where am I committed? Not what should I work on? Not what are my goals? Just where do I need to be? That is all your calendar is really resolving. So, for example, my calendar will think about my practicum schedule. We'll talk about the classes maybe that I need to take, and also maybe some therapy appointments for my clients, and then any kids' activities. They're all living inside of my calendar. Now, I used to use a physical planner for this, but let's be honest, carrying that thing around everywhere was just becoming too much and too heavy. And I started to become one of those moms that just didn't carry a purse around, because if I had a purse, things that were not even mine would go into this purse. And then really, I became a donkey mule, and I didn't want to do that anymore. And that also meant I had to abandon my physical planner. So I resulted into a digital calendar, and I use an iCloud calendar. And I also use a lot of shared calendars with people. So I have a calendar specifically for therapy clients. I have a calendar that I share with my husband that results in all of our kids' activities and what my work schedule is. Then I have another complete calendar that's about my practicum schedule, my classes. And guess what? You can better believe they're all color coded. And that helps me look at my week as a whole and looks at color coding and time blocking of what are my commitments and what do I need to be. Now, a physical planner was nice because I got to make it all look pretty and nice, but at the end of the day, I just need to know where my commitments are. And what's cool about an iCalendar or a digital calendar is you can set up reminders and things where it dings your phone that helps you leave on time. If I can suggest anything else, create buffer times before you leave, before that alarm goes off, because I bet you're into something. And if you think that I just need to hurry up and finish this, you will be late to that next commitment. And that iCalendar or that digital calendar won't work for you. And think about calendars as something where timing, that's where I need to be. People use calendars sometimes as like their giant to-do list. And then the calendar becomes really overwhelming, and then we don't really want to look at it. When calendars are designed for our commitments, not every random thought in our brain needs to be on our calendar. That is what another layer is for. We have to think about these layers as what is their job? What are they doing? So let's go into layer 2. Layer 2 is your task management, the question of what needs to happen when I finally get there. This is the layer that I think most ADHD brains desperately need and just don't have, because tasks don't just disappear when they aren't scheduled. This layer holds all of your projects, your ideas, your errands, your goals, your future tasks. This answers what needs to happen when you finally get to that commitment. Not today, not right now, just eventually. So, for example, I may put in my digital calendar tasks in my Reminders app. Reminders apps are really nice because not only does it throw it into your calendar, which helps you decide what you need to be doing there, but it also is like this digital checklist that you can click off as you're doing them. It also helps you plan when am I going to be doing this into my schedule, which is the next layer. But it also helps you kind of outline all of your ideas in this particular event or reminder. So that could be what podcast episode I'm working on, or maybe that I need to call my insurance company, or maybe I need to organize my office, or create some freebies, or maybe renew my license. These aren't appointments, they're tasks. This is a different function than what the calendar is holding. Is it in my calendar because I use a digital product? Sure. But these tasks are for my ideas. They're how I'm funneling all of what I'm doing when I actually get there. And I think ADHD brains lose tasks because many of us store our tasks in our heads, which means we keep wanting to remember them. And to be honest, that's a lot of brain power and a lot of mental exhaustion for what little energy we do have. And we do this over and over again. That creates so much cognitive load. So the goal is get it out of your brain. Stop remembering it and have your tools remember it for you. Have it start storing your stuff, and so that you can actually use your brain to be present when you show up for the things that really matter most for you. Hey, if you want to be first in line for the ADHD Planning Stack pilot course, make sure you sign up to get early access, discounts, and extra support. The link is in the show notes. Now we're on to layer 3, which is time blocking. When am I doing it all? And this is where I think planning usually breaks down for a lot of people, because now we have our appointments and now we have the tasks, but neither guarantees an action. And this is where the time blocking will answer that question of when am I actually doing all of this? Not I should or sometime, or I need to find time for an actual place, an actual time for these things. So, for example, I may have record a podcast episode, and then I'm going to use my event in my events app to plan when am I going to do it. I'll look in my calendar to see what commitments, what time, where am I going to be, what time or place do I need in order to record my calendar or record my podcast episode. And then I'm going to block time on Wednesday at like 9 a.m. That is a huge difference because not only am I blocking time for that, I tell myself what task am I going to do, and then I actually make an appointment for myself to do it. That does not mean that I plan another commitment in that time slot. That time slot has already been blocked for something important, a task that needs to be done. So, because people combine a lot of these layers, the calendar becomes the task list. The task list becomes this brain dump for yourself. And then the planner really becomes the wish list. And then suddenly nothing feels clear and everything feels scattered and it's kind of all over the place.
If you're listening to this and thinking, this is exactly what I struggle with, I want you to know that I built something specifically for you. The EF, or Executive Functioning Activation course, walks you through why task initiation feels so hard with your ADHD and how to actually get yourself moving without shame, pressure, or burnout. It's short, practical, and designed for ADHD brains, not productivity culture. If starting is your biggest barrier, this course gives you structure, language, and tools that actually work for you. You'll find the link in the show notes.
And this is where the ADHD Planning Stack really got created, was my own journey of realizing that I was trying to use my physical planner to do everything in my life. And I realized that I was just searching for this one tool that was going to change everything about my life when it doesn't work that way. I needed to realize what questions was I not answering and what tool would be able to help me answer that question. And then I realized that planning was about layers and systems that work together on top of each other to help me be more productive and more efficient with my own time. There isn't going to be a tool that works just for you. It's about finding a layered system with each tool that helps each layer that's going to be specifically and individualized for you and what works with your brain. Each person's layer is going to be different, but that doesn't mean that it's not working for you. It's about experimentation. It's about finding what works with your brain and trying it out. And just because it failed doesn't mean that you failed, doesn't mean that the system failed. It means maybe the tool failed, maybe the tool's not working, maybe I need to find another layer to help me build with that tool. Here's the missing piece, though, that I think a lot of people who plan, who fall off, do not do. This is where this model, this system, this layer can be a lot more productive for you. So remember, planning isn't just plan and execute. It's more of let's plan, let's execute, then I reflect, and then I adjust my system the next week. I want you to, at the end of your week, think about what worked, what didn't work, what was unrealistic that I may have tried to accomplish, and then what do I want to change or adjust for my next week. Without this reflection, people will start blaming themselves for the reason why they're not very good at planning or they're not disciplined enough, when really their system just needs a little bit of tweaking. But the only way to do that is to actually reflect on what didn't work. I'll use my red planning system. So when I had a physical planner, because I know a lot of people really like them, I would go through my week and I would write in a red marker or cross off everything that did not get done that week. And then I would use a reflection page to write out, why didn't I get any of this done? Was I overshooting and maybe doing 5 tasks that day when really I didn't have to? Was it maybe an energy system thing of like, I would approach the task and then maybe at the end of the day, I just didn't want to do it. Or maybe this task is a lot bigger and it's actually maybe 3 or 4 tasks that need to be broken down. And maybe I just didn't break down the task well enough. This really helped me launch why this ADHD planning course was so successful for me, because I was able to reflect what wasn't working in my planning system and figured out what layer was really struggling here. And that just needed to be tweaked. And then guess what? The next week I would tweak it and I would see, did it work? And guess what? It would. And then if I failed or I falled off on a different week, I would just look at the system. I wouldn't look at myself. I stopped shaming myself for my planning issues and just looked at what didn't work in the system and what needs to be changed. That really helped me stop blaming myself and shaming myself for things that maybe just didn't work this week. Or maybe I was on my menstrual cycle and maybe I have really low energy and maybe I planned for an ideal week when maybe I just didn't have the energy for it. And it's really allowing you to step back and look at, what do I need to do? And what layer is really focusing do I need to work on here? It really allowed me to step back and to plan and reflect and look at things a whole lot differently.
Okay, quick pause. Because you've ever found yourself rewinding this episode like 3 times because your brain just drifted, this is for you. I hear this all the time. I can focus, just not when I actually need to. And that's exactly what the focus course is about. Because here's the truth. ADHD isn't a lack of attention. It's a regulation issue, which is why some days you're locked in for hours and other days you're rereading the same sentence, wondering what just happened.
So inside my executive functioning focus course, I break this down in a way that actually makes sense for you. We go through how your attention works in your brain, your specific focus patterns, why you get distracted externally and internally, and how to actually build a system that helps you stay on track and come back when you drift. Because the goal isn't perfect focus, it's knowing how to return without spiraling. So if you're tired of blaming yourself and you just want something that actually works with your brain, I'll link the focus course in the show notes. All right, let's get back to this episode. If you're interested in this framework, it's actually the foundation of my ADHD Planning Stack system, because the goal isn't finding the perfect planner, even though I wish we had one. It's understanding what job you're trying to solve and then create the right support for that function. And once you start separating those layers, planning becomes much less overwhelming. And if you're interested in looking into our ADHD Planning Stack course that goes way into detail and helps you create an individualized plan with our 3-layer system and also our 4-method C system, which I'll go more into in a different podcast. Or if you want to purchase the course, it's all in the show notes if you're looking for more. You are not disorganized because you need more discipline. You may simply be asking one tool to do 3 different jobs. And that's where you can separate where you need to be, what needs to happen, and when you're doing it. Everything starts feeling a whole lot lighter when you start separating yourself from these layers. And as always, thank you for joining me, and be gentle with your mind. One more thing before you go, and this helps me personally staying present and grounded, which we all need, especially when your brain wants to spiral into disconnection. Me too. It's Brain FM. It's musically designed to help ADHD brains, well, really anyone's brain, focus, relax, or sleep, and I use it almost daily. If you want to try it, I've dropped my link in the show notes. And if you're looking for planning tools or ADHD-friendly resources, I'll keep a list of my favorite links in every episode.